The first game I really wanted to dig into on the PS4, I got it actually on a Boxing Week sale for $29.99 Canada, which is pretty good. So that's like 25 American. Um, Nier Automata, yeah. So this game is fucking fantastic. Loved this game. It's stuck with me. It's one of those games. It's still in my head. A few days later, a week later, this game is something special here, guys. And if I had to redo my top 10 games of the year list, this would be up there. So I feel like after I get through some of these PS4 games I've been missing out on from 2017 and all the years past too, I'm going to have a very different list for the top 10 of 2017. But yeah, let's get into this a little bit. I'm not going to do anything crazy for spoilers. Just going to be kind of general knowledge of, from everyone else kind of out there. But anyway, the music. Oh my god, people. The music is so good. The soundtrack is incredible. I'm going to say it now. I think this might be the best soundtrack of the year, if not tied with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. They both emphasize different things with their soundtracks. Like, for example, I think the battle music in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is much better, but then also the variety in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is much better. So yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, that probably still edges it out just very tiny bit, but that's nothing to take away from Nier Automata, because holy shit, guys, the music is so good. A lot of it sounds a little bit samey, but you kind of understand it within the scope of the entire world and the story. It plays so well with how the game is, and so many of them are just completely stuck in my head. As soon as I finished the game, I went and downloaded every single song I could find for Nier Automata, and guys, it is so good. It sets the tone of everything, and like this, like the sadness, but then like the epic moments mixed in with chants and stuff like that from like robots. It's so good. The story, again, like the story, I think you guys have all heard, is really fantastic. I've never played a Yoko Taro game before. I've heard of Nier. I was trying to find it before I sold my PS3, but I could not find it anywhere online. I didn't want to pay too much, but at some point I would love to go back and try it. But apparently the gameplay is really awful in the first Nier. But a lot of people kind of defend it because they like the story so much. But yeah, again, I don't want to go in too much into it, but it's fantastic. The setting, really love it as well. It's so like, it's this futuristic, apocalyptic kind of feel here with like, again, the whole game is more about the feel and the ephemeral. Like everything is so well made as far as the story setting, the premise. It's brilliantly made and some of the best I've ever seen. One big gripe, though, is the gameplay could be better, and this is kind of disappointing to me because Platinum Games is likely my favorite developer of all time. They've made, them, and stemming from Clover Studios, they've made they're probably the most consistent developer out there with their games they make. Even when they have the shitty property games like, Transformers and stuff like that, and they make the games bearable and they make them good. Like for like shitty license games, and they have like their C team working on it, they still make it that good. These guys just breed talent, and that's kind of why I'm a little bit disappointed with the gameplay. The battle system is, just you have a heavy attack, you have a light attack, and you combo them together. That's pretty much it. And then typical in Platinum fashion, you do have like kind of a dodge that kind of gets out of the way when people are attacking you. It works, but that's pretty much it. Like coming off of games like Bayonetta and stuff like that, Wonderful 101. I'm always, I was really looking forward to a more deep combat system, but Nier just didn't have it, and it wasn't that fun to play. So a lot of the time you almost kind of dread when you have to go into a full combat thing. It wasn't too bad. Like, I make it sound worse than it actually was, but again, it's just kind of disappointing that it wasn't better than what it is. But again, I do understand that this game is far more focused on the story and the setting and the concept of it all. So that's really, it doesn't take away too much from Nier itself. The game isn't really focusing on the gameplay, so the fact that it is passable, that's fine. But like to really get into what's the best part here is another kind of issue is the world is just, I find, a little bit too large. So the exploration I loved the movement for the most part of 2B and 9S and others and stuff like that. I love the movement, like how smooth they felt. It felt like you're moving like a smooth car when you're running through, like, and you run really fast because there's no like vehicles that you go throughout this open world. I didn't like the jumping when you'd had that. I wish they made the exploration extremely smooth. Everything. As soon as you decide to jump in Nier Automata, you like slow down. You lose all your momentum. It's just a high jump. You don't really jump far. I wish they made everything fluid, because when you have such fluid running and how it speeds up and you can really fly through this world really quickly for the most part, you have to jump over stuff at times, and that just slows everything down to a halt and was really annoying. But yeah, the world is definitely too large. They made it too large. The exploration, if they didn't want to focus on the combat, and then they probably shouldn't have focused on this sort of exploration as well either, because it wasn't like you're finding too many things in the world that you really cared about. It was more of a reason to go from point A to point B, and it wasn't really interactive throughout. It was just you'd have enemies sitting around at every certain spot in the area, so they probably should have made this a little more streamlined. I do agree with that from some reviewers. It should have been more streamlined if it was mainly focusing on the story, not the combat or the exploration. But again, those are pretty much the only two issues I have with this game. I completed A, B, C, D, E, G, H, and Z. That's all I'm going to say for everybody. That's around 33 hours to complete the game. I didn't complete it 100% because there are 26 different endings. But let's just say I beat about 8 or 9 of the endings and finished the true story, and it was fantastic. Again, it really stuck with me. It really makes you think of, what is humanity? Who are you? What would happen in a later time like this? And, after that, I went back into like YouTube channels. I was watching like summaries of it and the past games called Drakengard, the first Nier, and I was really just enveloped in the world, and I can't wait to see what this Yoko Taro does again. And you should definitely partner up with Platinum Games, and I'm hoping that they can really extend a little bit more with the combat as well, because even with my negatives about that, the combat was still fun. It was still better than most action games like this. Platinum is fantastic with this stuff, and I feel like they did have to kind of lay off the pedal a little bit here to really let the game shine through with its story and its setting. So anyway, huge thumbs up for Nier Automata. Huge thumbs up. I highly suggest that game.